Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are making easy high-waisted crochet shorts. This is an update from my previous video with more detail and better audio. If you plan to follow your own measurements, I put a chart together. You need to know your upper waist measurements, the top of your shorts to bottom crotch, your inseam, and the full length that you would like your shorts to be. We are starting off with the waistband. This is the measurement of your upper waist. My measurement is 30 inches. Replace my measurement with yours for a better fit. We are going to begin with our band. So make a slip knot and chain 11 chains. This is the height of our band. It doesn't matter what size you're making, we are all chaining 11. We are working in the back bumps. Flip your work over to the back. Place a half double crochet into the second bump from the hook. Yarn over, insert your hook into the second bump from the hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops, and this is how you half double crochet. Continue working half double crochet into each stitch for the rest of this row. You should have a total of 10 stitches when you are finished with row 1. I have a beginner friendly video linked at the bottom on how to do this stitch if you are struggling with it. This is what it looks like when row 1 is complete. Chain 1 and turn your work. We are chaining 1 in between all of our rows. For row 2, inside that very first stitch, I'm going to place a half double crochet. And then I'm going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row. You should have a total of 10 half double crochets when you are finished with row 2. This is what it looks like when row 2 is complete. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now for row 3, we're just going to repeat the last row. We're just going to work half double crochets until every single stitch for the rest of this row. Remember, you should have a total of 10 half double crochets when you are finished with row 3. Continue working rows of half double crochet until you reach your 5th row. I will meet you back at my 5th row. I have completed all 5 of my rows, and this is what it should look like. I also numbered each row from 1 to 5 to help the people that struggle with counting your rows. For row 6, we will be making our hole, so chain 1 and turn your work. We are going to work half double crochets inside the first 4 stitches. This is my first one. This is my second half double crochet. This is my 3rd one. And this is my 4th one. And now we are going to chain 2 chains and skip 2 stitches. Skip this first stitch, skip this second stitch, and inside this next stitch, which is the 7th stitch, we are going to place a half double crochet. And now we are going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row. You have just completed a row with your hole in it. Chain 1 and turn your work. For row 7, we are going to work half double crochets into each stitch, including those 2 chains from our previous row. You need to have a total of 10 half double crochets when you are finished with row 7. And when you make it to your 2 chains, you're going to work half double crochets inside them the same way you would a foundation chain. You are going to crochet 4 more rows of half double crochet. These are regular rows of half double crochets, no chaining or skipping stitches in the middle. You should have a total of 11 rows. I will meet you back at row 11. I have completed all 11 of my rows. By the way, all important parts are time-stamped at the bottom in the description. Chain 1 and turn your work. For row 12, we are creating another hole. We are going to work half double crochets inside the first 4 stitches. This is my first one. This is my second half double crochet. This is my third one. And this is my 4th one. And now we are going to chain 2 chains and skip 2 stitches. And inside this next stitch, we are going to place a half double crochet. And now we are going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row. So we are basically working 5 regular rows of half double crochet and 1 row of 4 half double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 4 half double crochet, and that is the row with the hole in it. You're going to continue to rotate these 2 until you reach a total of 87 rows, which is 30 inches, or until the band is long enough to wrap around your waist. I put a chart together for those of you who are more visual learners. It's the same thing as the last slide. So in the upper left hand corner, that is the 5 regular rows of half double crochet. And then in the middle where the hole is, you will see the number 6. That represents row 6. And that is the row with the hole in it. That's the row where you are working 4 half double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and continuing half double crochet in the last 4 stitches. We keep rotating between the 2 until we have 87 rows, or until the ribbon is long enough to wrap around your upper waist. When your band is complete, fold it in half. Make sure the part of the band that the hook is still attached to should be in the front. As you see, my working yarn is in the front. And now we're going to slip stitch these two pieces together. Inside this first stitch in the front, you're going to insert your hook. And you're going to insert your hook inside the first stitch in the back. You are going to yarn over and pull through both of the stitches. Two loops on your hook. Pull the first loop through the last loop, and that is how you slip stitch. Inside the next stitch in the front, insert your hook. Inside the next stitch in the back, insert your hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop through both of these stitches. Two loops on your hook, pull the first loop through the last loop. You're going to continue working slip stitches for the rest of this row. If you need help with slip stitches, I have a video linked at the bottom. It should look like this when you are finished. Chain 1. Now to hide the slip stitch, we gotta flip the band inside out. I am flipping the band towards me. As you can see, my working yarn is at the bottom. I want that to be at the top. So now I'm going to turn my work upside down. And now my working yarn is at the top. Now we're going to place single crochet at the top of each row inside our waistband. This row right here is our very first row inside our waistband. At the very top of that, we are going to place a single crochet. Insert your hook at the very top of that row. Yarn over, pull up a loop, two loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through those two loops. And that is how you single crochet. Place a stitch marker inside that first stitch. Inside the next row at the very top, I'm going to place another single crochet. Continue placing single crochet at the top of each row inside the waistband. You should have a total of 87 single crochets when you are finished. The number of rows in your waistband should be the number of single crochets you have worked at the top of each row. For example, I have 87 rows in my waistband, so that means I need to have a total of 87 single crochets when I am finished with this row. It's very important that the numbers match. If you work more single crochets than you're supposed to, that is going to create an increase in your shorts are going to wrinkle up, and we want to prevent that. As you see, I have a couple more stitches to go. I know I made it all the way around because I'm back to my stitch marker. This is my very last stitch in this row. Up next is the rise. This is the measurement from the top of your shorts to your bottom crotch. I am doing 10 inches. This measurement also includes your waistband. If you have a big butt, measure your rise from the back. For row 1, you're going to remove the stitch marker and place a single crochet. Put back in your stitch marker to mark this as your first stitch. We are going to increase inside our next stitch, so that means that we are placing 2 half double crochets inside this one stitch. This is my first half double crochet. And this is my second half double crochet inside the same stitch. And that is how you increase. Inside the next stitch, we are not increasing, so we're only placing 1 half double crochet inside that next stitch. We are increasing inside the next stitch, so that means we are placing 2 half double crochet inside this one stitch. Inside the next stitch, we are not increasing, so we're only placing 1 half double crochet. We are increasing inside the next stitch. Continue to rotate the 2 stitches, which is 1 half double crochet, and an increase all the way around until you reach your stitch marker. I'm finishing my last few stitches in row 1. For row 2, you're going to remove your stitch marker and place a half double crochet inside the stitch that you removed the stitch marker from. Place the stitch marker back into your first stitch. You're going to place half double crochets into each stitch all the way around until you reach your stitch marker. These are regular half double crochets, no increases. Repeat row number 2, which is regular rows of half double crochet, until you reach row 19. This is roughly around 30 inches, including the waistband. That is the measurement of my rise. If you are following your own measurements, you're going to repeat row 2 until you have reached your rise measurements. My 19 rows are complete. The part that you slip stitch close in your band should be in the middle. So the goal is to line our crochet hook up with where these stitches are in the middle. Lay your hook down in the middle of your band, slide your hook all the way down and insert it into whatever stitch your hook reaches. And then you're going to remove that stitch marker and place it into the stitch with that hook. Half double crochet all the way down until you reach your stitch marker. Once you make it to the stitch marker, you're going to remove the stitch marker and place a half double crochet inside of it. And then you're going to place the stitch marker right back into that same stitch. We are going to work on the inseam. This also includes the leg hole and the length of the leg hole. I am doing an inseam of 1.5 inches. And don't worry, I will show you guys how to make the shorts longer if you desire. We need to place a stitch marker in the back panel as well, right across from our first stitch marker. Use your crochet hook as a guide. And now I'm bringing them close to make sure they match. And this is what it should look like. Now we are going to chain 12 chains. This is 4 inches and this is the measurement from the front of your crotch to the back. Now 4 inches is good for anybody that's doing an extra small to a large. If you're doing a size bigger than that, I would recommend adding more inches. Now inside that back panel with the stitch marker, we're going to place a slip stitch. So insert your hook into that stitch with the stitch marker. You're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to pull that first loop through that last loop. And you have just created your 2 leg holes. Flip your work over to the back side. You're going to remove that stitch marker, and inside that same stitch, you're going to place a half double crochet. Place a stitch marker back into that first stitch. You are going to continue working half double crochets all the way around until you meet your chains. That is the 12 chains that go down the center that divides your leg holes. Once I make it to my stitch marker, I'm going to remove it and place a half double crochet. This is the first row inside your inseam. You are going to place a half double crochet inside each chain until you reach the stitch marker. It's just like working inside a foundation chain. I finished working all my half double crochets inside my chain stitches. It should look like this. For row 2, you are placing half double crochets inside each stitch until you reach the stitch marker. Remember, you will always mark your first stitch with the stitch marker. I want to show you guys how to count the rows for your inseam. You count the rows from your center and work your way out. So as you see so far, we have worked 2 rows. I have numbered them 1 to 2. Continue working rows of half double crochet until you reach row 6. This is the length of my inseam, which is 1.5 inches. If you want your shorts to be longer, please work more rows. I have completed all 6 of my rows, and this is what it looked like. I'm going to show you how I counted my rows. As you see, number 1 is the center and number 6 is the outer part. So you always count from the center and work your way out. Remove the stitch marker and place a single crochet. Inside the next stitch, we are going to place a slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. Make sure to leave a long enough tail so you can weave it in. This leg hole is complete, and now we're going to get started on our other leg hole. Inside the stitch in the corner, the one that I am pointing at, you are going to insert your hook. Grab your yarn and make a slip knot. Place your slip knot onto your crochet hook, and you're going to pull your hook up through that stitch. And then you're going to chain 1. Inside that same stitch as your chain 1, you are going to place a half double crochet. Place a stitch marker to mark this as your first stitch in row number 1. You are going to continue working half double crochets all the way around until you meet the chains in the middle that divides your leg holes. I have made it to the center that splits the leg hole in half, and now we are going to work a half double crochet decrease. Inside this very hole, right here, you are going to yarn over and insert your hook. And then you are going to yarn over and pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and insert your hook inside the next stitch. And then you yarn over and pull up a loop. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. We have just worked a half double crochet decrease. It should look like this. You are going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row until you reach your stitch marker. I want to clear something up because someone asked me this question in the last video. We are only decreasing in row 1 for the second leg hole. We will not ever work any more decreases throughout this whole project. I want to show you how to count your rows for your second leg hole. We are not going to start all the way at the right. We start from the center and count our way out. I drew a line down the middle to separate your first leg hole from your second leg hole. I also marked both rows 1 and 2 because so far we have 2 rows completed. You are going to continue to work rows of half double crochet for a total of 6 rows. The number of rows you have in your second leg hole needs to match the number of rows you have in your first leg hole. This is the inseam in full length of shorts. I have finished crocheting my rows. Remove the stitch marker and place a single crochet. Inside the next stitch, we are going to place a slip stitch. Chain 1 and cut your yarn. Make sure to leave a long enough tail so you can weave it in. We are going to get started on the string that goes inside the holes in our waistband. Grab your yarn and make a slip knot. We are going to chain a total of 210 chains. This string needs to be long enough to wrap around your waist and even longer so you can tie it. This is really up to you, however long you want it. When you are finished chaining your chains, flip your work over to the back because we are working in the back bumps today. You are going to place a half double crochet into the second bump from the hook. You are going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row, and when you're finished, you are going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. Make sure to leave a long enough tail to weave in at the end. Grab your needle. We are going to weave in our yarn. The goal is to hide your string in between your stitches. So I'm just going to insert my needle pretty much anywhere that you want to and just weave it back and forth until your string is no longer visible. This next part is optional. I'm going to take my needle and split the string in half. I'm going to put one of the strings into my needle. And I'm going to stick my needle back into the project, somewhere close by, not too far. I'm going to put both of these strings back into the needle, weave them in, and cut any remaining yarn. I'm going to repeat the same process when I'm weaving in my other strings. Now, depending on if you have an even number of holes or an odd number, the way you put your string inside your waistband is going to be different. So in this next clip, I'm going to show you how to do even holes, and then after that, I will show you how to do the odd holes. They will be time-stamped at the bottom in the description. So before we get started, let's make sure our shorts are facing the right way. That part with the slip stitch needs to be in the back. Grab your long string of half double crochet. We will place them in the hole. You will be inserting this string inside your middle hole. In this case, that is my 4th hole. And then inside your next hole, you're going to pull it out. Inside the hole after that, you are going to insert it. And inside the hole after that, you're going to pull it out. So you're going to continue this method of inserting it and pulling it out all the way until you reach your last hole. I made it to my last stitch and even out my strings, and now I'm going to tie a cute little bow. This is for if you have an odd number of holes. Alright, so you want to make sure that that slip stitch is in the back before we get started. Go ahead and grab your string. Alright, so we're going to start by the slip stitch in the middle. So this hole to the right, I'm going to insert my yarn. This hole to the left, I'm going to insert it. I'm going to pull it through on both sides and even it out. So to my right side, I'm going to pull in the string. I'm going to pull the string in and bring it towards me. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. Put it inside that left hole and pull it in towards me. So back to my right side, I'm going to push it out. So it needs to go outward. I'm going to do the same thing for the yarn to the left. In the next hole, I'm going to push it outwards. Continue this method until you have one hole left. I made it to the end and now I have one hole left. It should look like this. You're going to grab both of those strings and pull it through and pull it all the way out. So both of them are going to come out of the center hole. And now I'm going to tie a little bow and you have completed your easy high-waisted crochet shorts. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will do the best I can to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe and interact with this video to support this channel.